morning.
Good morning, sir.
Please respond. I'll say it again. Good morning.
Morning, sir.
Lovely. I hope you had a great morning and you are ready for the day. Right. We have been talking about language in society. You can look at it from both the points of view. You can look at it a macro view, entire Chennai, entire India, entire Andhra in one shot. Or you can look at it from the point of view of individual, Suresh Chaudhary and his language, our languages. Actually, there are serious theoretical questions. If you go to places like Vellore, the Telugu that is used there has a lot of Tamil words, has a lot of Tamil influence. Telugu that is used in Vizianagaram. Do you know about this place? Vizianagaram? Is it in Andhra Pradesh? Bordering Orissa? It has a lot of Oriya influence. Or Oriya that is spoken in nearby areas, in places like Ganjam, in areas close to Andhra. The Oriya there is very different. Actually, no linguist so far has been able to say how you define language X from language Y. These are cultural issues, cultural opinions for which we do not yet have quote unquote scientific definitions. We do not know where Hindi stops and Urdu begins. We do not know where Oriya stops and Bengali begins. We do not know where X stops and Y begins. Okay? There are all those issues. How do those issues arise? Okay? And those are the issues that concern you more than issues of syntax or phonology or morphology. People demand states on the basis of language. There have been language riots. There are all kinds of problems and issues. We cannot talk about all of them, but I am just trying to give you an overview of some problems, some issues in the area of what we call language in community or sociolinguistics or language in use. These issues of course do not affect use. Ordinary people do not care whether they use Telugu or Kannada, whether they use Kannada or Marathi as in Belgaum, they go on using. It is linguists, it is policy makers, it is politicians who worry about these things. But as a student of language and linguistics, it is it is good for us to know how and why these issues arise. Let us look at them. What is a speech community? You can define it in many ways. You can say a community of people speaking Telugu, but imagine a place like Hyderabad or a place like Chennai or for that matter any modern metropolitan, even non-metropolitan city. Today, you cannot think of a city which speaks only one language. Can you? Would you say that in Warangal everyone speaks only Telugu? Can you say in a smaller town, let us go to a very small town, something like Rajmundry is bigger than, let us say go to Khammam, Mahbubnagar, Nalgonda. Do you think in Nalgonda people speak nothing other than Telugu? In Dindigul in Tamil Nadu, do they speak nothing other than Tamil? In my hometown Darbhanga, total population may not be more than 200,000. Do they speak, all of them speak only Maithili? How do we define a speech community? Actually, a standard definition is a community of people sharing a language or languages, and quote unquote. We do not attempt to define language nobody knows. Census of India, Government of India says if 80% vocabulary is distinct, in that case Malayalam and Tamil won't be different languages, Telugu and Kannada won't be different languages, Odia and Bengali won't be different languages, Punjabi and Dogri won't be different languages. Sometimes they say a written language is a language. In that case, all tribal languages will become non-extinct. We do not have a foolproof definition, a scientific objective definition of language. We know this is Telugu, this is Kannada, this is Tamil, this is Malayalam, this is Hindi, this is Marathi, but we cannot say where Hindi stops and Marathi begins. So, what is a speech community? A very commonly accepted definition is it is a community of people sharing one or more languages. You can also look at it from the other point of view. You can say Telugu is speech community. Now, this will include everyone, whether living in the same village or living in far distinct parts of the world. Maybe there is a Telugu writer living in San Francisco. Is there a Telugu writer living in San Francisco? Living in New York? Living outside Andhra? There are these days, you know. I know of Maithili writers living in America, and they write such things that they can cause riots in Darbhanga. So, you know, they also become part of the speech community, whether they are physically, that is the point. Are you with me? Even when you are not physically together, the technology today makes it what Marshall McLuhan called a global village. Somebody somewhere writes something and there are riots in different parts of the world, there are celebrations in different parts of the world. Imagine a Telugu writer in America getting Nobel Prize for literature. Entire Andhra will not sleep for 7 days, and they will say Telangana should come back, etc., etc. Okay? Good, bad reactions do happen, because in the end a speech community is a psychological, it is a perceptual concept. Okay? It has, so you can look at it from both the points of view. You can look at it as a physical space where people share languages, or you can look at it as a language shared by people in lots of places. Okay? There can be many people, many speech communities in one community. Think of Chennai. We have Tamil speaking people, about 52%. We have Telugu speaking people, about 40%. Of the remaining 8%, now the dominant population is Malayalam speakers and Hindi speakers, followed by others. Okay? Now, they are all part of this community. You cannot say Chennai belongs only to X or to Y. They are not affected by one another. They do not know another language. Okay? So, you can look at it both a mega macro view or an individual view. Look at this Venn diagram, you know, the shared spaces. I am not good at these things. So, you know, it is not quite as neat as I wanted it to be, but do you see the concept? The point here is shared spaces. If you think of a place like Chennai, okay, I have named only about 5 languages, but Chennai has close to 40 languages. Go to census data and you will find all kinds of languages that are spoken in India are also spoken here. They may not be in large numbers, they may not be politically dominant, they may not be seen on the website, but they are there and they also affect one another. That makes a speech community. So, you know, Chennai as a speech community includes lot of languages. There is a significant population of Marathi speakers here. You know, when Shivaji Maharaj came to south and conquered places like, not he, his generals came and conquered places like Madurai, Tanjavur, the Maharaja of Tanjavur's family and all his ministers, they speak Marathi. Even today, if you go to places like Mylapore, Lloyd's Road, you know, that Greenways area, The local, the dominant population there is Marathi speaking population. They live there. That is the land that was given to them. Similarly, there are all, on the other hand, there is a big community of Telugu speakers, not like you guys who come and study 4 years and go away, but living resident population of Telugu speakers. Actually, it was disputed where Chennai should go to Andhra, when states were reorganized in 1952. It was disputed. People from Andhra Pradesh wanted Chennai to be the capital of Andhra Pradesh, but people here wanted it to remain in Tamil Nadu. Finally, the States Reorganization Commission allocated it Chennai to Tamil Nadu. But the point here is that speech community, look at the last line, speech community is an aggregate of, do you see the point? Do you agree with me? Is an aggregate of everyone living together. In Hyderabad, it's not just Telugu speakers, it's not just Urdu speakers, it's not just Tamil speakers, it's everyone who is there makes the speech community. You can again look at it through another diagram. You see, a Telugu speaker may be in New York, far distant corner, or maybe somewhere in Vijayanagaram, Parvatipuram, When I travel from here, half my time is spent in crossing Andhra, in the other half rest of India. Okay? But all of these people touch one another. They make a speech community. We are affected by them, we affect them, we are aware of them, they are aware of us, they contribute to the growth and decay of language, and we are affected by growth and decay of language. That is a speech community. There may be multilingual communities. If you look at cities like London, can you guess how many languages does London speak? According to the local education authority reports, London speaks 104 languages. New York speaks more. New York speaks 107 languages. Okay? They also teach 5 Indian languages. Can you guess which Indian languages are those?
Hindi, Tamil, Telugu, Punjabi.
Hindi, Tamil, Telugu,
Bengali.
Punjabi, Bengali,
Five.
and
Marathi.
there are 6, there is one more,
Sanskrit.
Gujarati, very significantly. We don't do that in India. In Chennai, we don't teach Bengali. In Patna, we don't teach Tamil or Telugu. You see, we are more, no matter what we say. Okay? Well, there are lots of developmental issues, We have to hire teachers, it costs money. Rich people can afford to do many things which not so rich people cannot. I am not trying to criticize or justify anyone. I am trying to get you to see that there are speech communities which can be called multilingual communities, as large as London, New York, New Delhi. New Delhi speaks nearly 40-50 languages. Everything that is spoken in India is also spoken in Delhi. There are bilingual communities like Canada. Can you tell me which 2 languages Canada speaks? French and English. Which 2 languages does Iraq speaks? Kurdish and Arabic, Persian and Arabic. Iran, Persian and Arabic. There are monolingual communities. My village. Is your village also monolingual?
Yes.
Is your village also monolingual? Some towns are also monolingual. Actually, my village is also not monolingual. There are Muslims who speak Urdu. Okay? There are countries, Saudi Arabia, France, Maldives, Tibet, Vietnam. The point here is, you cannot a priori say, this is the speech community. There are all kinds, and because we cannot define language X from language Y, we have to accept these levels. Let us look at individual and languages. There are people who know, in this class, how many people know 2 languages? Raise your hands, please capture them. How many people know 2 languages? How many people know 3? Keep your hands up. 3. Raise your hand full, like you. 3. I also claim to know 3. Hindi, English, Maithili. Okay, 4. Okay. Which are those languages?
I know English, Hindi, Gujarati, and Tamil.
And
Hindi, English, Malayalam, Telugu.
Telugu. 5. Which are those?
So I speak another language called Saurashtra, which is spoken in Madurai.
Right, which is spoken in Madurai. Anyone from, Kerala, Karnataka border ordinarily knows 5 languages. They know Tulu, Kannada, Malayalam, Konkani and Hindi, plus English. 6 languages, you see. Once again, how do we define how many languages we know? How many dialects of Telugu do you know? When in Anantapur, can you speak like Anantapur Telugu? When in Simhachalam, can you speak Telugu like it is spoken there? Okay? Because we do not have answers to these questions, so what linguists do is, they say no matter how many dialects and languages you know, this makes your, please look at the term, verbal repertoire. Please write. Actually, this word comes from music, repertoire. It's a French word. It means a collection of all the various tunes, ragas. You can sing raga X, you can sing raga Y. So, all that you can sing makes your repertoire. Here what we say, to avoid this tricky question of language, dialect, what we say, no matter how many speech forms you know, these speech forms are your verbal repertoire, and you can use any one of them in any particular situation. You also decide whether to mix one part of repertoire with another part of repertoire. So, your repertoire contains codes. Let us say there is an individual X who knows 5 languages. From each of these languages, he knows at least 3 dialects. Okay? Let us then say he is studying engineering sciences at IIT Madras, doing BTech, does physics, chemistry, thermodynamics, humanities. So, he knows about 5 registers. He has friends and enemies in the hostel. Sometimes he speaks formally to them, sometimes he speaks very rudely to them. He tells them go to hell. Okay? So, he has various styles. Let us say he has 3 styles. You can make the list as large as you like. All of these things together, make this person's verbal repertoire. Okay? The entire bag or baggage, the entire collection of speech forms that this young gentleman or lady has makes this his verbal repertoire containing all of these things. And this person can use any one of them, a particular dialect or a particular style or a particular language or a particular register in a particular place, time, occasion, right? That is what we do. The way I am talking now is not how I will talk to you outside this class. The tone of my voice will change, the language will change. I will bring some Tamil or Hindi into my language, which I don't do here. Okay? So, what we essentially do is we pick out a code. From all of these things, we pick out a code, and code is determined by place, topic, addresser, addressees, time, all those who, when, what, where sort of thing, okay, generates a code. So, rather than talk about language, because we cannot define where language X ends and language Y begins, we cannot define where dialect X ends and dialect Y begins, we do not know. What we do is therefore, we talk of codes. So, verbal repertoire can be seen as containing codes or different speech forms with different grammars and lexicons, and each code has a domain of use. Each code is used in a particular place at a particular time with a particular person. Actually, linguists say there can be these domains. You can have home, one kind of language at home. Actually, those who have researched, and I have also had some experience of doing this kind of thing, even at home we find the Telugu that you speak with your mother is different from the Telugu that you speak with your father. Is that correct? The Tamil that you speak with your mother is different from the Tamil that you speak with your mother or father, you know, even with different siblings, parents, other relatives, visiting relatives. So, even home is not one, please mind my word, monolithic place. It is not one clean slate. It is a web of various kinds of relationships. Among us in my village, we address mother as tum, okay, but father as aap Maharaja, you know, पिताजी आप बैठिए, मम्मी तुम बैठो, अरे वेट करो, क्या परेशान कर रही हो, बिल्कुल. Mother calls, बाद में बात करते हैं, I am busy. And father calls, हाँ क्या बात है, you know, you use kuchandi for father, kucho for mother. Am I right? Do you do that? All of us? Okay. It doesn't mean disrespect. It doesn't mean, you know, possibly it means intimacy. Possibly it is what culture allows. The point here is we use different kinds of codes in different domains. Even within home, we can have 30 different situations. Mother and the elder son, mother and the daughter. Do you think daughters are closer to mothers? How many people believe that? Okay, don't answer, right? So, you know, there are other domains. People say neighborhood. Neighborhood. For people like us living in another city, Maithili is limited to home. The moment I come out of home, it is Tamil. Tamil of a very formal kind, because I don't know informal Tamil. You go to school or college. So, the language of education, the language of work, language of religion, okay? That when we go to temple, when you go to Satyanarayan Puja, Satyanarayan Katha, when we go to weddings, when we go for Upanayam, when we go for Sashti Purti or birthday celebrations, there are different kinds of languages, and for each occasion, this is the point. Do you imagine yourself being in a temple in Tirupati and singing in English, oh my dear God, please, please? Even when you are praying for JEE, you are praying in either Telugu or Sanskrit, Shantakaram Bhujangshanam Padmanavam, please get me through JEE, etc., right? We have different domains. For each domain, we use a code and we make selections. Sometimes in real life you will find that, you know, as we talked of dialect the other day, actually if you press the point further, you will see the same individual does not speak like another individual. Each individual has a distinct mark, That is why the moment you hear hello, you can make out whether it is a friend calling or an enemy calling, a classmate calling or some stranger calling, a family member calling or a distant relative calling. Each of us has a unique language in that very fine theoretical sense, and in the literature of linguistics we call it idiolect. So, even code does not help us, we can go further than that, but to keep a loose generalization we say people have codes and they use a particular code in a particular situation, in a particular domain, and code can comprise any of these things. There can be code switching. You are talking in English, suddenly you have somebody from your village, another student, another friend, and you can switch into Telugu or Hindi or Maithili, or sometimes, as is very frequently the case, you can mix two languages in one sentence. Do you do that? Do you do that? Yes or no, please speak. Do you do that? So, then that is code mixing. You are mixing codes. You are mixing Telugu into English, English into Telugu, Telugu into Hindi, Hindi into Telugu, Tamil into Telugu, Telugu into Tamil. That is called code switching or code mixing. Actually, code switching when you switch with topic from one language to another, but code mixing when within the same topic you bring two or more languages or dialects or styles or registers, then you are mixing codes. I will give you an example. Look at this thing. Somebody recorded it in Nampally. You know where Nampally is? Nampally is a railway station in Hyderabad. Yeah. Are we together? Sure. Okay. How many codes are used here? I want you to look at carefully and tell me how many codes are used in the same discourse, somebody talking to somebody else. How many? One or two or three?
Three, sir.
What are those three?
English, Hindi, Urdu.
Telugu. Where do you find Telugu here? Correct. A lot of people miss that. Thank you very much. That ante is, what does it mean, by the way? Okay. Who do you think are the speakers? Young people, old people, boy, girl?
Young friends.
Young people. Girls or boys? Or boy and girl? Boys. How do you know they are boys?
The Gen.
Kyare.
Kyare.
Kyare. They won't say that to a girl. Right. And then they refer to, finally the boy, the punchline is, can the hero say to heroine in Telugu, I love you? Actually, this article, it's a long article, and it further says, in all Indian films, hero proposes to heroine only in English. If you propose to her in Telugu or Hindi or Bengali, then the girl doesn't take you seriously. This is the case of code mixing. You are mixing all the different kinds of languages you know. I can give you examples of greater mixing. This is the paraphrase. I will mail the slides to Mahesh and you can look at them at leisure. I have also given reference to the article. You can see that. It appeared in English Today, which is a Cambridge University Press publication in 2001 and was widely noted. The article is called Atikya, New York. You can also see it on the net. Is code mixing a new phenomenon? Has it begun happening only today? No. Ever since there have been people speaking more than one language, more than one dialect, there has been code mixing. There are examples of code mixing in Latin discourse, in Sanskrit plays. Here is an example from a Sanskrit work by somebody called Rahim Khan Khana, the minster of Akbar, who are learned in Persian, learned in Sanskrit, learned in Awadhi, composed lot of works, was a great general, and he writes about astrology. And he says, look at this. Can any one of you read it aloud? Can you try? Would you like to try? Okay, I'll read it for you. Yadi Vavati, if it so happens, Jaladul Kalkako Maut Khane. Now, Jaladul Kalkako Maut Khane is Persian. Okay? A particular star in a particular house. In astrology, you talk of zodiac signs, right? If Sun is in your 8th house, Jupiter in your 7th house, something like that. So, if this happens, then that person becomes Satam Ahitbhashi. He always speaks roughly, maybe like faculty members here. You know, Guhyaru Kistri Sukhona, he always chases women. Okay? Mut Fakir Vadame Johari, entire Persian, you know. He never can keep enough money. Sot Zakhmi, he has skin disease. Kam Fahamna, he is always unhappy, etc., etc. Look at the paraphrase. If Mars is in the 8th house, the person in question talks rudely, suffers from venereal diseases, and is wretched in conjugal love, worrying, suffering from sores, lacking in intelligence, becomes physically weak due to anemia, itching, or sores. Okay? Look at it again, how Persian and Sanskrit have been effortlessly mixed. People say Rahim composed a book called Khet Kautukam. Please write. The book is called Kheta Kautukam. Okay? Kheta is sky or horizon, Kautukam is wonder, wonders of horizon for his master and king Akbar in about 100 verses. Akbar once, it seems, wanted to know what is Hindu astrological science all about. Then Rahim composed 100 verses to give him an idea of how these predictions are made, and see the use of Persian in Sanskrit. This is exactly how we use English in Telugu, or Telugu in English, Hindi in English, English in Hindi, Hindi in Telugu, Telugu in Hindi, etc., etc., etc. Okay? And it is not that only Rahim did it. It has happened all through the recorded history of mankind. You look at Greek texts, you look at plays of Kalidasa. When queens speak to kings, they speak in Sanskrit, but when they speak to their maid servants, they speak in Prakrit or Pali, and sometimes they mix, sometimes they merge. You can look at the texts if you are interested. The point here once again is that what is language, what is dialect is a fluid boundary. You know, human mind processes and uses language according to all of these parameters, and these parameters themselves are influenced by the relationship of grid here. Let me entertain you. I will play, you know, many filmmakers in India have experimented with code mixing. You know, my favorite is, what is that song? Made in India?
Alisha Chennai.
Alisha Chennai, God bless you. Yeah. Okay. If I became the President of India, I have got to give you a Padma Shri at least. Okay. So, I like that song. Very recently I heard this song and I thought I would play it for you. It's a long, it's about 3 minutes. I won't play all of the 3 minutes, but let's see. You can look at it up. It is there on the net. I downloaded it yesterday. Can you help me drag it?
Enter it.
Or okay, maybe we can afford 3 minutes. But if we can save, let it play and drag it. Come this way. Come to here, there, yeah. Ah. They not only, here the composer has not only mixed languages, he has also mixed voices, he has also mixed genders, female voice, male voice, English speaking voice, Hindi speaking voice, and they all fall into pattern. They all make one discourse. Okay, let's listen to it. Enough. I thought you deserve some entertainment, but you see, this is a fact of daily life. Okay, this is you want to be true, you want to be true to your audience, you want to be true to your listeners, and then you use this language. You will frequently find politicians trying to speak the local language. Okay, at least greeting. When Sonia Gandhi goes to Hyderabad, she says Namaskar Mandi. When she comes, and Narendra Modi is doing that these days. Recently he was in Bihar and tried to speak some Maithili, Bhojpuri, etc., etc. God bless him. Okay. So, what we call code mixing is a reality of life in multilingual societies. What does it prove? What does it make? I will take another 2 to 3 minutes before I leave you. It is a constant, ongoing river. We never know when this language began. We do not know. Nobody can tell you Telugu began at this particular point, Sanskrit began at this particular point. All those recorded history and historians are arbitrary attempts at trying to quantify the life of river. This is when this river began. You can quantify the lake of time of a lake, a pond, but not of a river, not of the ocean. So, that is just that way also for the language. Actually, languages also quote unquote die and are born, but they do not die one particular day. They are not born one particular day. This mixing and merging gives birth to a new language. Look at Hindi. There was nothing like Hindi about 1,000 years ago, but when Muslims came, beginning 9th century, and they started interacting with local people. So, then there was mixing of Arabic, Persian, Pashto words, Turkish words with Sanskrit, Prakrit, Pali, Telugu, Hindi, Braj, Avdhi, Maithili, Bhojpuri, and that is how slowly it appeared. Actually, all of these mixing first gives birth to pidgins. Have you heard of this word? Pigeons and Creoles. You know, if you go to work in places like Fiji, Mauritius, and there are IIT graduates working in those places, go to Alumni Avenue, sorry, Alumni Office, and you will see their record, because they are rich mineral mines, tin, bauxite, iron, also occasionally gold in those places. So, this is how pigeons are born. Contact between two languages. You do not know my language, I do not know your language. I want to have some water. I knock at your door, and what can I say? I don't know how to ask for manchiniru even. So, I say pani, and you understand, okay, this guy is asking for beer. Then you bring a bottle of beer and a bottle of water, and I said this. Then you tell me, oh, neeru. Then I pick up neeru. See this here. Me pela I go long Blake Market. Is it English? This is spoken in Fiji. Melanesian Pidgin English, or they also call Tok Pigeon. Please write, you can Google it. T-O-K, Tok Pigeon. This is the standard language of you know, those islands, Fijian island, Melanesian islands. Okay? This is how languages are born. You may laugh at them in the beginning. Ah, God, what kind of language is this? But this is exactly how Hindi, Urdu, many other languages are born. They are pigeons, they are combinations of several different languages. They don't say your key, they say key belong you. They don't say Prime Minister spoke like this, they say na Prime Minister ibn tok Olsem. Olsem is the same way. Okay? I have given you link, you can check. Or Hawaiian Creole, which is also English. There are lots of pigeons and Creoles. Indian workers went to work outside. They went to Mauritius, they went to Fiji. Lot of Telugu speakers went to Mauritius, West Indies to work on the sugarcane plantations of the British, and they stayed there 200 years, 300 years. So, their Telugu has become different from yours. Their Bhojpuri, I have been interested in that language. Bhojpuri is spoken in Mauritius is different from Bhojpuri spoken in Bihar. They bring a lot of French words, and they also use Bhojpuri words differently. They make pigeons and Creoles. Actually, it starts as a pigeon, and when it starts gaining native speakers, when it becomes the standard language, then it becomes Creole. There are songs, there are all kinds, you know, they are as natural a language as you can imagine. Check with the websites I have given you. Pidgin becomes Creole after it has native speakers. Hindi, for instance, look at the example I have given you from a story by Premchand. Those of you who know Hindi, can you raise your hands? Okay. Those of you who have read any Hindi in any school, okay, you might have heard of Premchand, a celebrated writer in the modern Hindi literature. Look at the way he mixes Urdu in his stories. Dil figar ne आशा और भय की एक, आशा and भय come from Sanskrit. Dil figar ne is Hindi. Okay. मनुस्थिति में वह बूंद पेश की, बूंद drop of water is Sanskrit, पेश is Persian. Yeah, Urdu Hindi is mixed, you know, they are the same language. Okay. पेश is Persian. की और उसकी सारी कैफियत पर्शियन, पुर असर अरबिक, लफ्ज़ों पर्शियन में बयान की अरबिक, you know, Arabic, Turkish, Pashto, Persian, Braj, Avdi, all together came in a melting pot. You boiled them for 500 years, and then today you say, oh, Shuddha Hindi bolo. There is nothing like Shuddha Hindi. There is nothing like Shuddha Telugu. There is nothing like Shuddha any language. They are all different ages of pigeons and Creoles. Actually, this is where I would like to conclude. There is, you know, languages also rise and fall when their speakers come in power. Now, you know, we will have Telangana. So, Telangana Telugu will have lot of prestige. Earlier, Andhra speakers used to look at, "Che, you speak like Warangal? You speak like Rajmandri, like Simachalam, like Bhadrachalam, etc., etc." Okay. So, you know, in Hindi, until Lalu became minister, people in Delhi used to laugh at Bihari Hindi. "Ye kya hum kar rahe ho?" Lalu said, "No, Bihari Hindi is also." So, you know, languages rise with their speakers, they die with their speakers. Until 19th century, if you were an educated person in India, you knew Persian. Okay? Hindus knew Sanskrit, did not know Sanskrit depending upon their caste, but Persian was a must. Persian was the court language, Persian was the language of documents, records. But beginning 1837, when British decided to change from Persian to local languages and English, then local languages and English became. Before Persian, before English, Portuguese. For 200 years, between 16th, 17th, 18th century, Portuguese was the link language all over India. Can you believe that? Even the British, when they came to India, they first learned Portuguese, otherwise they could not talk to Indians. There is no Indian language which does not have at least 300 Portuguese words. Words like Almira, Aya, biscuit, sabun, tolia, achar. Do you have achar in Telugu? Pickle? What is the Telugu word for pickle? Okay, in Hindi we call it achar. This is Portuguese. Aya, blouse, saya, kameez, maize, they are all Telugu word. Pagar, Alcatra, Padri, Girja, they are all they are all Portuguese words. So, you know, but because Portuguese were in power, when the English came in power, then English became the language of, you know. So, how do languages die? When they start losing speakers. A large number of Indian languages today are endangered. Actually, people say only 5 languages are growing worldwide. Can you guess the names of those 5 languages?
Chinese.
English,
Chinese,
Chinese, okay, Chinese, Mandarin Chinese,
Spanish,
Spanish,
French.
Hindi.
French and Hindi. No other, all other languages are losing speakers. You know, and this is UNESCO's conclusion, not mine. The point here is, ladies and gentlemen, I will conclude here. Language continues to be in use, it continues to change every day. You remember the design feature I told you? It varies. It varies in time, it varies in place. Somebody said language is like a patient on a table. It takes transfusion, it loses blood. You stop either, the language will die. You allow both to continue, language lives. At the end semester examination, I will give you some passages and I will ask you to analyze codes or tell me discourse structure, who is speaking to whom, where, etc., etc. Mostly the application of concepts. Is that all right? Thank you. Have a good day.